This week on Another Movie Podcast, Han Solo loses its directors but gains a Hollywood legend.
And people are going ape over the new War for the Planet of the Apes film.
And we tell you what critics are saying about Transformers The Last Night. And one hint, it ain't pretty.
There's a throwing poo joke in here somewhere.
Well, pretty much
right.
that's what they were doing. Ni hao and welcome back to Not Another Movie Podcast. I am Sean Pierce.
And I am Sean Kelly. That was very good.
Did you like that one?
Yeah, that was hello, right?
That was hello in Chinese.
Ah, I must speak Chinese because I understood what you said.
So you're probably thinking, why the hell is he saying hello in Chinese?
Is this because I spoke Spanish on the show a couple of weeks ago and you want to get ahead of me?
I was quite jealous of your sexy dialogue, so I thought I would throw some in.
I've got a follow-up to that, by the way. But anyway, we'll start with this Chinese.
All right. Well, we just basically learnt over the last 2 weeks we have had a massive influx of Chinese listeners to the podcast. So a big welcome and thank you for downloading our show.
Yeah, and it might seem strange because I don't think either of us have been speaking Chinese on the show.
No.
But I guess, there are English speakers in China who love movies, so that's good.
Yeah, and we just upgraded our Libsyn account. This is where we store our podcasts. And we were absolutely gobsmacked with how many international listeners we actually have.
We actually do get quite a few. It's great.
Yeah, and my mind was completely blown. So a big thank you to everyone who listens all around the world. You truly made my week this week.
Oh, that's nice.
All right.
Because my week's been terrible.
All right, well, let's hear about your week. Let's hear about the follow-up to your sexy Latin lover.
Okay, so I don't think I've told this. I don't think I've told this story, but I told you that my wife was lusting after this guy Julio in the Grand Hotel, that Spanish television series on Netflix.
Yes,
all well and good. He is a charming fellow, but there's like 1,002 episodes of this show, right? And she was binging them, and she was coming to the end of them, and I was very conciliatory. It's like, oh, that's a shame you won't be able to watch Julio anymore. That sucks. She got through them all, and I felt content that our marriage was going to survive. And then she's like, "Oh, I'll try this other one, another Spanish series." The bastard's in this one as well. He's better than he was looking before. God damn, he's good looking.
She's like, "Oh, there just happened to be another Spanish show on here. I'll just press play."
Yeah. Oh, okay. I'll just watch it. Isn't this just the same series? No. It's completely different.
Oh, what a surprise! Julio is in this too.
I know, and I went out there the other day when she was watching one of the things, and she just goes, "Did you know that Julio is 1 year younger than I am? That makes us practically the same age." I'm like, why are you researching this?
I have a really bad feeling about this.
The only thing saving me is the many, many kilometers between here and the Iberian Peninsula.
I would go and check her Google history and see if she's actually started looking up airfares over to...
Flights to Spain.
Correct.
Ouch.
Yes.
That's right.
Well, keep us updated, because I'm finding this story really amusing.
Oh, yeah, one of us is then. All right, what are some other stories in the world of cinema that we might be finding amusing?
All right, well, let's kick into movie news, shall we?
Ladies and gentlemen, can I please have your attention? I've just been handed an urgent and horrifying news story.
All right, there was a massive story that hit this week, and when I read it, I was just like, what the fuck? But basically, Phil Lord and Chris Miller were the directors of the new Han Solo film. Now, everything that was been coming off set has been great. We've seen cast photos. The casting looks awesome.
And we know them from the Lego movie, so they've been around.
Yeah, so, they've got really good... I think they did 21 Jump Street as well, so they got... really good credits against their name. And this week, they were basically fired by Disney and Star Wars because the producers, Kathleen Kennedy and Lawrence Kasdan, who was the writer of Empire and director, I think, as well, basically didn't like their style and approach to this film.
Which, it's got 3 weeks left of filming.
That's the insane part. That's the part I don't understand. Fair enough... maybe get them to shoot everything and just get a new director to come in and edit it.
Yeah.
But no, they've actually fired them. And usually, they have the whole bullshit oh, we've left because of creative differences. No, they were fired from this movie.
Yeah. I've never heard of anything like this happening before.
No, I haven't heard of a company actually coming out and saying that they've fired him. They've always put the wag the dog tail approach that
Yep.
everyone left on happy terms and
Yeah.
they're just for the greater good of the film. Everyone parted, but no, these guys were fired off the film.
And before you think Kathleen Kennedy is just some hotshot Hollywood producer who doesn't actually know cinema, this woman made Back to the Future, she made The Sixth Sense, and she made friggin' Schindler's List. This woman knows cinema. So for her to kick these guys off the set there's got to be some merit behind it.
Yeah, well, basically the story coming out this week is that Phil Lord and Christopher Miller are known for their improv style, and that clashed with the producer Kazdan's approach to strict adherence to the script. He likes the script saying word for word, where they're a lot more loose and a lot more, modern, would you say, and like a real improv style to their films.
Which I guess can kind of work for a Han Solo film, but if you're going off too far off script, that might be how you end up with something as dumb as midi-chlorians in the Star Wars universe. You got to be careful about what you say and do in the Star Wars universe because nerd fans like you and I take it very, very seriously.
Yeah, one source that come out of the set said that it was a culture clash from day one. She didn't like the way they folded their socks, and her and the team,
I choose to take that literally.
Yes. So they didn't like, but it's quite surprising if they didn't like them from day one. Like, surely they would ask around and other film studios who have worked with these guys to find out more about them. If they didn't like them from day one, what were they doing there in the first place?
Maybe they thought they could just mold them over time into what they wanted them to be. Get into relationships with someone and slowly chip away at them until they're exactly what you want them to be.
Yeah. So obviously they have been removed from the film, and a Hollywood legend, Ron Howard, is going to take over Han Solo.
I love how quickly that transition was as well. Like, I read the news one day, turned around, and then it's suddenly Ron Howard sitting in their director's chair. Like, how the hell did that happen?
Yeah.
I thought they would have just brought in like a C-list just to finish off, the last few things, but Ron friggin' Howard.
Well, I dare say if they were fired, then they would have started lining up names before they pulled the trigger,
that's
in
a
my
good
opinion.
point. Yeah, that's actually a good point.
Yeah, so filming will resume on the 10th of July. So it gives Ron Howard a couple of weeks to basically get his head around what they've done already, and obviously meet the cast and crew, and then go from there.
Do you think they surreptitiously brought Ron Howard into the set like a week or two ago? Like, what you doing here, Ron? No, nothing. Just having a look around.
Hey, possibly.
What you doing there? Yeah.
As I said, there's no way that this would have been on the day decision. There would have been a build up to this. So, and it goes back to last year's Rogue One, actually, where they had someone come in and direct the reshoots of the film. So this is starting to be a bit of a trend here with these Star Wars films. Obviously, they've got a idea of what they want, and they're not going to sway off that idea.
Well, good luck to them. They're putting up a lot of money, and I think so far the new Star Wars films have been pretty on point. So
yeah,
whoever's making the decisions is doing a good job.
And as I said, this always keeps going back to the debate we keep having. Are studios hiring directors, or are studios? Are they hiring filmmakers, or are they just hiring directors? Are they just hiring puppets?
Yeah, I don't know. I think that's a debate, a discussion to be had. But in all honesty, I think when a studio is throwing this much money at a project, you've got to take. I mean, the reports are coming out that that Phil Lord and Chris Miller weren't taking on any notes. You've got to take some of your boss's suggestions.
Yeah, well, apparently they didn't. But the Last Jedi's director, Rian Johnson, he's basically come out and said...
He's feeling very nervous.
It's true. Well, he's got a couple months left till the film's open, so who knows? He said that he has as much creative control over this film than any of his films. So I don't, whether he's just towing the company line, who knows? But apparently he's all well on his film. Yeah.
Ron Howard paid him a visit. Like, you better say nice things about us, or that'll be my name on that director's chair.
Ron Howard's an interesting choice, actually, because when you go and have a look at his back catalogue, he hasn't really had, a sci-fi type film. I know he's had Apollo 13, but that was still, a non-fiction film set in space. So it's an interesting choice.
He certainly wanted to be in the first. I wonder if he's just like friends with the producers, and they just need someone competent to come in and take it all,
Yeah.
put it all together.
Basically, just do what he says.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, before they took on the Han Solo film, these two directors, Lloyd and Miller, were actually going to direct the Flash film. They were doing a treatment on the script and were possibly going to write their own script before the opportunity to direct Han Solo came along. So there's talks that possibly they might go back and jump on the Flash bandwagon.
Jumping back to the old flame after a breakup, that is never a smart move.
But when you think about it, obviously with the films that they've done, bringing that comedic element to the comedic tone that we've seen already from the Flash, it could be a match made in heaven.
Oh yeah, I think that'll be really fantastic. I just find the irony of the Flash film moving so slowly. How long have we been talking about it, and there's nothing that's really come out?
Yeah, no directors, no writers. Yeah, it is a weird one. But as we spoke about last week, maybe they are hesitant on how many films they're going to push out a year now. So, they don't necessarily have to rush this one in production to meet some deadline.
Ezra Miller's going to lose his chance to play the Flash. He's going to be too bloody old by the time they get around to it.
Yeah, well, this is true too. So that's a really good point. All right, well, over also at DC, Christopher Reeves. Matt Reeves, he's out doing press for War of the Planet of the Apes at the moment. And an interview asked him, what type of approach are you going to be doing when you get to the Batman? And he basically said that he's going to be drawing a lot of inspiration from Alfred Hitchcock in this film and have a strong point of view approach to the character, which we kind of saw in, Batman Begins.
Does that mean you're going to get Martha Wayne murdering people? Like via Psycho style?
Possibly.
Yeah.
Yeah. So maybe Batman is Martha Wayne after all? Is that what
exactly right.
Is that what you're implying here?
He puts down the batsuit and picks up a grey wig, and that's his new way to strike. And I honestly, if I saw like some man dressed as a granny leaping down off the buildings at me, I would be more scared than seeing a man in a batsuit doing that. So if Batman was truly about fear, he would dress up as an old woman. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah. And there's this awesome quote from this interview, and I'll just read it out. He goes, "What I find so interesting about him as a character, that as far as superhero goes, he's not a superhuman, he's just a person. He's a tortured soul who's gripping with the past and trying to find ways to be good in the world that has a lot wrong with it." So I think he's got really the right approach going into this film. We're not just going to see a summer blockbuster film. Hopefully he's going to bring a lot of depth to this Batman that hopefully, Ben Affleck will still be playing. We also think Ben Affleck could bring to the character as well.
Yeah, I think Ben could just do such an amazing job with a real character study Batman movie. He's just got those eyes you fall into, and through that mask you can make it happen.
Yeah,
but it's not going to happen if they don't do it right. But I've got a lot of faith in this director.
So do I, and more so now because some reviews or mini reviews started hitting the waves for War of the Planet of the Apes. Fox Studios is so confident in this film, they actually had screenings of it 1 month before the release, and actually
always good sign.
And actually allowed the press to actually tweet about it. Now I'm going to read you some of these tweets, or you can. I'll read one and you read one and I'll read the other. The first one comes from Gray Drake from Rotten Tomatoes. "I had the pleasure of seeing War for the Planet of the Apes. Jesus, you guys start hydrating now. You're going to need it. If you thought you had no more feels left after the Wolverine, you're mistaken. I'm dumbstruck by what they continue to accomplish."
I watched Logan again today. It's a bloody good movie.
Yeah, it is.
All right, next tweet. "It's official. War for the Planet of the Apes is amazing. Deep, dark, epic. Rise, Dawn, and War equals one of the best movie trilogies ever." That's pretty incredible to think about. We talked about that previously on the show, how it's shaping up to be that.
Yeah. And the last one from Nigel M. Smith from The Wrap. "War of the Planet of the Apes is the bleakest summer blockbuster I can recall. Suicide, torture, whipping, crying monkeys. It's unrelenting."
Sounds like my wedding night.
The upcoming Batman is going to be amazing. So they are pretty strong words, and these aren't just like nuff-nuffs who have their own Twitter account. It's one from Rotten Tomatoes, Access Hollywood, and The Wrap. So I really can't wait to see this. And as you mentioned before, we called it early and said that we haven't really seen a perfect trilogy as yet. I think we're going to see it this year.
Yeah. Thanks to the Ewoks, they ruin everything.
Yeah, that's true. Now, over at Universal Studios, 1 year from today, the new Jurassic World film is going to be released, and they actually dropped a poster, which to me just looked like the same poster from the last
boring.
film. Boring, exactly. But it did reveal the title, and that is Jurassic World: Fallen Kingdom.
I kind of wish they just went with Jurassic Kingdom.
Yeah,
I think
that could have worked.
Yeah, Jurassic World: Fallen Kingdom is just a bit long.
The part that I'm really interested in is what kingdom are they talking about?
I assumed the company. What are they called? InGen or whatever it is.
Yeah, but they didn't really have a kingdom to start with in Jurassic Park. They were just building a park that never really opened. So, but then I suppose in Jurassic World, they did open it, and I guess they were,
Yeah, they were going for like 10 years or something.
correct. So maybe that's the kingdom they're talking about.
Yeah.
But yeah,
I'm interested.
interesting. Yeah, it is going to be very interesting.
And you know what the best thing about this movie is going to be?
Tyrannosaurus Rex,
No.
Chris Pratt.
No.
It comes out in a year.
Jeff Goldblum's returning.
Oh yeah, of course. How can I forget? Speaking of your
so.
boy, I think he's a bit of a sellout here in Australia. Have you seen him on these menu log advertisements going around?
That's what Hollywood stars do. They go to other countries, random countries, and they just do like weird ads for strange labels.
Yeah.
I think the ads are also really funny, by the way. But and I think they're doing a lot for Menulog because I don't use it myself. But you're welcome to sponsor us, Menulog, if you wish, if you're listening. But all my friends are using it now based on those ads. So Jeff Goldblum, he has the pull.
Yeah, well, yeah. I've said my piece with Jeff Goldblum. All right, well, over at Sony, there's a lot of talk this week as Spider-Man approaches. I think we've got 2 more weeks, and they've started doing some test screenings, and the test screenings have been going through the charts, rating in the high 90s. So that's a really good sign. We haven't seen any Twitter reactions yet or reviews yet. We'll see them in the next coming weeks. But a couple of weeks ago, we reported how that Spider-Man won't be part of the Venom film, and how we said that was quite confusing. But now apparently Spider-Man will be connected to these new films that Sony are going to be producing.
Yeah, which is really strange because he won't be in the MCU. So it'll be like Spider-Man will be... It's like that scene with Spider-Man's holding the 2 boat halves together in the trailer, where one half is the MCU and the other half is this Venom movie.
Yeah.
And the twain shall never meet. So it's a little bit weird. It'll be cool to see Venom fighting Captain America, can I just say, but it's not going to happen.
No, so Amy Pascal, who's the producer of the Spider-Man franchise, come out and said that the Spider-Man characters aren't connected to the MCU, but that doesn't mean Tom Holland won't pop up in the Sony universe that they're trying to build for Spider-Man. Which is it's still weird. I don't know how it works.
Nor I.
So we're basically being told, just forget everything that you see in the Marvel films.
Yeah.
Forget his back character and backstory from the Marvel films. But he'll just pop up in our world as well and be like a new, fresh Spider-Man.
Yeah, I don't know. This is like trying to make Star Wars without Vader. Like, you can't have Luke because Vader's a direct precursor. How does that have Venom without Spider-Man? Oh my god, I don't know.
I don't know. It just feels like a family's been divorced, and the kid can go over to play with his dad's family, but he can also come in and play with his mum's family, but the two families don't talk.
Yeah, no, I can definitely see that. And one family is one side of the family is getting on really well, and they've got lots of people over, and people are really excited to see how they're going. And the other one, they're not quite sure. They're a little bit scared. They're not quite sure how they're taking the breakup.
But the good thing is, and it's what we spoke about when it was announced, how stupid it would be to have these Spider-Man characters without a Spider-Man in it. But now it looks like Spider-Man will be coming back and forth.
Yeah, we'll just see. I'm curious. I'm just curious as to how they're going to do it.
Well, the good thing is that Tom Holland, I think he's only 21 years old, so he can play this character for a very long time.
Yeah,
so,
that's true.
He's got 2 sequels to do. He's in the Infinity Wars 2 films, I believe. And now it looks like he's going to pop into these other films as well.
And he seems like such a nice, easygoing dude. So I can definitely see him coming back again and again to the franchise.
Yeah.
He's like a dog. And I don't mean that in a bad way. I mean like in a, all right, what do you want to do? Let's you want to throw me a ball? Let's throw me a ball. That's the kind of guy Tom Holland is.
Yeah. No, as I said, if at least he's got his next 15 years set up for him.
Yeah,
as long as these films open all right.
Yeah.
All right, well, the Venom film is slated to open October 5th, 2018. And when you think about it, it's not really that long to go. So they better pull their finger out of their ass and start filming this film. But they also have plans to have more films that are going to focus on the villains such as Kraven the Hunter and Mysterio. But they're not necessarily going to team up in any type of way like the Sinister Six film that they already tried to, propose and put out there.
Yeah.
Which is disappointing because I was actually looking forward to that Sinister Six film.
Yeah.
And we spoke about already how many films Tom Holland has in the ranks. But we've been told that the Spider-Man Homecoming sequel, it won't have Iron Man in it, but it does plan to have another MCU character in it.
Any ideas?
No, I'm trying to rack my brain. I'm like, would you throw in the Hulk possibly?
That could be cool.
I can't see it being Thor, but it might also be one of the second tier superheroes that they've got now. Maybe it might be like an Ant-Man or a
Actually,
Doctor
I can see
Strange
Ant-Man. Yeah.
Yeah, so
I think Doctor Strange is going to be too busy being the poster child of the next iteration of the MCU.
Yeah. But I always thought because, obviously they've got Iron Man in this film, and I thought they're doing that so they can kind of babysit Spider-Man and get the Marvel audience in to see this Spider-Man film, and then he could go out on his own. But then to introduce another character from the MCU into the sequel, do we really need that? Sure, fair enough, we got Iron Man now to tie it in. But now can't he just go out on his own?
Yeah, I don't mind them bringing stuff together. I've always been a fan of the crossovers in comics. It's a real shame that Fan4tastic didn't work out because Spidey always had a really good relationship with the Human Torch, and it'd be awesome to see those guys hanging out.
Yeah. Well, there was talks of the Fantastic Four this week, actually, and I didn't bring it up because there wasn't really a lot to talk about. But they're actually thinking of having a more young adult targeted Fantastic Four film, like a tweenie type Fantastic Four.
Yeah, okay.
So,
who was the last one targeted at? Because I have no idea.
Don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Nobody liked it.
Critics who hate films.
Yeah.
I think that was the main target audience.
I'm going to make a 2.5-hour film to punish the people who come to see it, especially critics.
Yeah.
Well, you succeeded.
Yeah. Well, critics have had an absolute field day this week with the new release of Transformers: The Last Night.
Before we get into that, we didn't talk about the villain for the Venom film.
Oh, yes, of course. Sorry. Now, this part is brings me more, like, as much as Tom Hardy is the main feature of this film, and that's exciting enough as it is. The villain of this piece is going to be no other than fucking Carnage. We're going to see a Venom versus Carnage film. How cool is that?
It's pretty cool. Again, it doesn't make any sense how they're going to set it up because is he going to create Carnage? I don't know. Anyway, doesn't matter. I'm psyched to see it because Carnage is a pretty cool, very 90s character, but I don't know. I'm keen to see them punch it out on the big screen. And I always like that dynamic of, Venom, who's a bad guy, but, has at least a moral code, and Carnage, who is just completely insane.
Yeah, he's ruthless.
Yeah, oh yeah, he's maximum carnage. I mean, he just went through and murdered so many people in the MCU. So I'm curious. And everyone's saying Jackie Earle Haley to play Carnage,
Ooh,
but
yeah,
I think you need someone.
Cool.
It would be cool, but I think you need someone a little bit younger.
If there's any film that screams out now for an R rating, it's this film, Venom versus Carnage. But I don't think it's going to happen, unfortunately. Not with them trying to kick off their universe over at Sony.
Yeah, I agree. Actually, but who could play Carnage really well? Boyd Holbrook, who was Pierce in Logan.
Oh yeah. Definitely.
Yeah, I think he could be cool. He's got that kind of Carnage had that kind of southern drawl in the cartoon, so I think that would be cool. Anyway, moving on.
All right, as we've spoken about, critics have been absolutely ruthless for the new Transformers film. And just to give you some comparison, I'll go through the last Transformers films and their rating on Rotten Tomatoes. First Transformers, 57%. Revenge of the Fallen, 19%. Dark of the Moon, 35%. So you can see they've started high, gone down, they've come high again. Age of Instinct, 18%. which you would have thought there's no chance it would get any worse than that. Well, guess what, people? It did. Transformers: The Last Night,
Michael Bay says, "Hold my beer."
17% on Rotten Tomatoes.
That's just incredible.
Not only are the reviews worse than any of the films, but the opening day is the worst opening day of the Transformers franchise as yet. So there is no way that this film is probably going to gross the $1 billion mark, because you can't see it getting 900 million in the overseas market, because I can't see it cracking, more than 100 in the US market if this is what is coming. I think it only had like an $8 million opening day, which is really bad.
I think people are just so wary of the Transformers films now. I mean, some people still love them, and Godspeed to you, my friends. I'm never going to tell you that you're wrong for liking something, but I think just as a population, people are a bit groany about Transformers now.
Look, they said that this is Michael Bay's swan song, and thank God, because as I said, I think the box office and the critics and the fans will basically say, we've had enough of what we're seeing. Let's just reboot it and get someone who is a fan of these to actually do it properly.
I never understood the term swan song, because swans sound terrible, don't they?
Yeah.
So it probably makes sense in this instance.
Yeah. But here are some of the one-liner reviews that I thought were quite amusing. Transformers: The Last Night isn't so much a film as it's a catalogue of everything wrong with Western civilization.
That's brutal. How long do you think the guy's been waiting to crack out that line?
I have no idea. Transformers: The Last Night. There is no redemption to be found here, only suffering.
I want to be a film reviewer, man. They get to have the best quips.
The Transformers: The Last Night is an incomprehensible pile of scrap. Luckily, there's an upside. You forget every single frame of this thing the moment you walk out of the theater. The Last Night is 15 minutes shorter than its predecessor, but it still somehow manages to feel even longer. Love it.
That's brutal, yeah.
Yeah.
Seems well deserved.
Yeah, I agree. As I said, these films haven't been good for a very long time, but they did not give one hoot about the story because it was raking in the cash. So hopefully now that the cash stops flowing, that they'll actually stop and think about what they're doing.
Yeah.
All right, well, one film that I know we're both really excited for, and this was the news that we wanted to hear, is that the film It is officially rated R.
I don't know if I wanted to hear this, because I'm going to see this movie. I kind of wish it was PG because it looks scary.
Now, the rating has been handed out R because of violence/horror, bloody images, and language.
Yeah. Look, I'm excited because I think it's going to make a better movie, but I'm also a little bit scared.
Have you read the books?
No, I've seen the old Tim Curry miniseries.
Yep.
But I've not read the books.
Yes, same. Now, one book that I have read, and I'm pretty sure you've read it as well, Watchmen.
Yeah.
Yes. Well, the news came out this week that made me almost blow my pants off. And it's something that we actually asked for a couple of weeks ago on the show, and it looks like it's finally going to happen, is that Watchmen, the TV show, is going to happen, and it's going to happen at HBO, which is the perfect place for it to go.
Absolutely. They do anti-heroes and stuff better than anybody, I think.
Not only that, they actually show anything they want. They've got no restrictions on what they do. We've seen that with Game of Thrones. We've seen incest, we've seen violence, we've seen sex, we've seen full frontal nudity. And a lot of those are in the Watchmen book. So for this to land on TV, it's fantastic news for me.
Yeah. I thought there were some elements of the Watchmen film which were okay, but...
Look, I actually liked it. I thought the Watchmen movie was very good. I thought it did as much as it could to bring that book to life within 2.5 hours.
Visually, absolutely, yes.
So for this to be spread over a TV show, now I'm not exactly sure how they're going to do it, because obviously, it's a book. It's not like a series of books. It's just one book. But they did do a Before Watchmen series, which basically gave the backstory to each character. So if they incorporate that into the TV show as well, definitely they could extend it for 2-3 seasons. But how they get the whole thing, out of maybe 2 or 3 seasons, I'm not sure how they do that.
I actually think that they could probably get a 2 series out of the just the book as it is, because there were so many little parts in the book that were not translated to the film, and with good call, otherwise it would have been there all day. But like Dan Drieberg's meetings with the original Night Owl and all the little bits and pieces, the clippings between each chapter, I think there's a lot in there that could be plumbed for stuff. And more with Ozymandias really detailing his rise to the position he was, because I thought he was quite undeveloped in the film.
Yeah.
I'm really excited. I think they could get a couple of seasons out of it. And hopefully gets... I think the acting was very wooden. The thing that turns me off most about the film is the otherwise good actors. Patrick Wilson is great, but I thought... Yeah, I just hope they get some more character in this one, rather than just stunning visuals.
Well, Zack Snyder is not going to be involved in this at all.
Mm-hmm.
And they've brought in Damon Lindelof I think he's going to executive produce this. Now, he's done things like The Leftovers, which is on HBO already. It's a TV show that gets massive reviews. I've just started it this week. He also wrote the screenplay for World War Z, and he's been involved in Star Trek, the franchise, and he's also been involved in the Lost TV show as well. So, he's got some good credits, but he also did executive produce Prometheus as well and write that.
Yeah.
So, he has done a lot of hit and miss things, but it is a step in the right direction.
Well, I hope so. We'll find out.
And the good thing is as well is that, as we said, there were a lot of elements left out of the movie, and basically in Watchmen there was a comic inside the comic. So it was a story of the black sails, and it's it's a boy reading a comic at a news agency stand, and that was completely left out of the film. So to bring that into the TV show as well, it could be huge. It could be really big.
It'd be really cool if they did, because one of the great things about the comic was how all of those stories and all those little bits and pieces linked to the greater story that was going on. So it'd be awesome if, at the end of every episode or the beginning or something, they had just a 5-minute animated, telling the ongoing story of this pirate, the Black Sails. Because that could be really awesome.
I like that. I like it that it's animated, because you would think it would be way too expensive to have a pirate storyline going on along with the big world that is HBO. So,
but it just adds to the comic book, because I love that thing about the Watchmen world as well. The people in that world don't read superhero comics because superheroes exist. They read pirate comics because pirates don't exist anymore. So it'd be cool.
I tell you what, though, I would still love to see Jeffrey Dean Morgan come back as the comedian. At the moment, he's on The Walking Dead. He's playing a character called Negan, and I think he could still pull off the comedian. I thought he was great in The Watchmen.
Yeah.
That would probably be the only one I would bring back.
Yeah, that you're really keen on. And he could definitely do it. The comedian, can have a little bit of age behind him.
Yeah, absolutely. So, he can play young and he can play old too. So that's the only character or actor I would bring back from the original movie.
Awesome.
All right, well, last week we spoke about the apology that Joel Schumacher gave for Batman and Robin. And we didn't do it last week, so we thought we'd do it this week. And we thought about film or directors and their films that they should apologize for. and there was a lot, but we squeezed in our top 3.
Yeah, absolutely. I was actually surprised when I was going through this just how many directors, really good directors otherwise, have just made a stinker or two, seemingly out of nowhere. And I guess you can't win them all, as they say.
Yeah, well, out of the list that I've got, there's 3 pretty big directors there. So I'm going to give honourable mentions to the most obvious ones. Was George Lucas needs to apologise for the 3 prequels. And,
yes.
And Michael Bay needs to apologise for at least 80% of the films that he's done. So they're pretty much the obvious ones.
Yeah.
All right, well, I'll start off. I'm going to go with Christopher Nolan. As much as I liked the trilogy, I don't think The Dark Knight Rises was as strong as what Batman Begins or The Dark Knight was.
It was phoned in.
There was just so many stupid elements to that film that were just blatant plot holes that were just completely overlooked and completely ignored. But the scale of that film was also so great. So I'm on the fence with this one. I still think he didn't do a greater job as he could have. It was so many stupid things in it, but I still think that he should give us an apology.
Yeah, I respect that.
Yeah.
My number 3 is a man that I really like and I really respect, but just in the latest years has just gone off the rails, and that is Kevin Smith, who, student film auteur, very famous, and he had some sort of rickety elements even early on in his career, but in 2014 when he made Tusk, and only last year when he made Yoga Hosers, I don't know what he's doing.
Now,
He's
I want you to read what you wrote on our run sheet.
I might have been a little bit harsh on the run sheet.
Be- Before we started the show, I checked the run sheet and I'm like, oh, what's he got? And he's like, Kevin Smith. And then what did you write?
Needs to apologize for everything.
That actually made me laugh out loud. And Ryder's like, what are you laughing at? I'm like, oh, nothing. I'm like, surely he did make some good films.
That's why he's on there, because he's made some great films I really love.
But you wrote everything.
I know. And I said everything because I wasn't sure when in his career to kick it off, because I wasn't really a huge fan of Mallrats, and that was like his second film. And then like Jersey Girl, I wasn't a big fan of. So there was like, and Zack and Miri make a point. So there was all these like films at different stages in his career that I didn't like, but the ones that really kind of bombed were Tusk and Yoga Hosers.
Yeah, I agree.
If you're listening, K. Smith, I still love you, and you still got a bunch of great films in you.
Yeah, no, I agree with you on that one. All right, well, two directors that need to apologise for these films, and that is the Wachowski siblings.
Yeah.
They need to apologise for The Matrix Reloaded and Revolutions.
And the real shame here is because the first one is just so good.
That's why I was really shitty. More with the Revolutions. The Matrix Reloaded was okay because you thought it was building up to something great in the third film. And then when the third film hit, I was just like, you fuckers.
This is what I wasted 6 hours of my life for?
You built this fantastic world in the first Matrix film. You blew everyone's mind with what you were able to accomplish and the visuals that you gave us and the story that you gave us. And then you had to ruin it with this Jesus-like metaphor for Neo, and then that fucking bullshit room with the architect at the end of the third one.
Yeah.
I still don't know what happened in that film.
Yeah. It's, I don't know. It's been a long time since I've watched it, but wasn't Neo, like, deliberately put into the Matrix to give people a sense of hope, but then they tear it away, and then there was a treaty at the end or something?
Yeah. As I said, I only watched it once at the cinema because I was that disappointed with it.
Yeah. Have they really done anything else that's any good? They've done some other things.
They did that Speed Racer. That wasn't very good. But no, they haven't really hit the heights that they had when they came out with The Matrix.
No. V for Vendetta, that was okay.
Oh, yeah, V for Vendetta. But I think they only produced that. I don't think they directed it.
And wrote. Jupiter Ascending, which completely bombed. Cloud Atlas didn't go great. Maybe they just had one idea.
Yeah.
And it was a great idea.
But I think they just got too clever with the idea.
For their own good, maybe.
Yeah, should have just given the audience more what they wanted.
Yeah, look, I'd love for them to come and blow us away once again.
Yeah.
All right, my next one is a little. You might not recognize the name, but you'll definitely recognize the films that this person's made. John McTiernan. Do you know any of his movies?
Yeah, he did Die Hard, didn't he?
Yes, that's the one. Which obviously one of the undisputed greatest action films of all time. He also did Predator, another fantastic film. Hunt for Red October, pretty good pedigree. And then he made in 2002 Rollerball, the remake of this, I can't remember, from the 60s or something like that film, which is all right, but not great to begin with. Awesome video game. But he made this film, and it is often decried as one of the worst films that has ever been made. It stars, you've seen American Pie.
Yeah.
You know, I can't remember his name, the tall bloke that's this tall lovey-dovey one, Chris something or other, I can't remember his name. Anyway, it stars him, and he does not a great job. Everything is bad about this movie. And he really needs to apologize for it, because he had this shit on lock with Die Hard, and then to make Rollerball, he just needed a paycheck, obviously.
I'm surprised you have such an affection to Rollerball.
I don't. That's the point. It's a terrible movie.
Yeah, but as I said, of all films, of all directors, this is the one you've got a bugbear with.
It's just it's a well-known fall from grace for this guy.
Okay.
I mean, it's a forgettable film. It's not like I've got it sitting in my DVD collection wishing it was great like the Dragon Ball Z movie. But yeah, it's just because he had such. I mean, I love Predator. I love Die Hard. Hunt for Red October is a great film.
Yeah, I agree. Perfect Predator.
Yeah, Rollerball is just it's. Have you seen Rollerball?
No, I didn't even bother.
Watch it, and then you'll understand why it's such a fall from grace. It's like he just handed the camera off to his 2-year-old son. It was like, you got it. You got this.
Yeah. All right, well, I'm going for the real Top Guns now. Another famous director, Francis Ford Coppola. I think he owes us an apology for The Godfather Part 3. Now,
I still
I
haven't
don't,
seen it
yeah,
on
as
your
I said, I
recommendation.
don't think you've seen it, and
No.
I'd probably suggest you don't watch it because he had the chance to create the perfect trilogy. And I'm not talking about just, a really good trilogy. I'm talking about the perfect one that could never be topped. I still think The Godfather 1 and 2 are some of the greatest films ever made. And he had everything going for it to make a third one when he had the chance to. He waited way too long to tell the third part of this story. And when he did, it just wasn't good. It was just a matter of making a third Godfather film for the sake of making a third Godfather film.
To round out the trilogy.
Correct. He should have gone at the time when The Godfather was still fresh, not 20, 30 years later down the track. And Godfather 3 is just a massive disappointment for that trilogy.
Yeah. Well, I'm still not going to see it
Yeah.
on that recommendation.
I wouldn't suggest wasting your time. Yeah. All right, your number one.
My number one, another famous one, and someone who was blowing everyone out of the water when he first came on the scene, which is M. Night Shyamalan.
Yes.
And he was going. He hit some waves, but when he made The Last Airbender, he lost. It was overnight. The whole world seemed to hate him. Even people who had never seen The Last Airbender, the cartoon series, just seemed to hate this man for what he had done. Did you see this film?
No, I didn't bother. The one where he lost me was the Lady in the Water, and then it just got worse after that, and I stopped watching.
I actually didn't hate Lady in the Water. I thought it was quirky enough to be an interesting movie, and I love what's his face, the Rhino, Paul Giamatti. So if he's in it, I'm gonna be generally okay. But The Last Airbender was a travesty, not only because it wasn't a good movie, but because the source material is so good and so well loved that you have to actively try to make it bad, which he did. So congratulations.
Did he write the script as well?
I'm not sure.
Yeah, I think he might have.
Yeah, he did. He did.
Yeah. As you said, when the source material is that well known and that big, surely you just stick to the basic story all the fans want and you deliver that, don't you?
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of hard because, it's a big, long series and he had to turn it into one film, but you just choose your battles. Don't try and tell the whole story.
Yeah, all right, that's true.
Yeah.
All right, well, my number one, if you thought I couldn't get any bigger than Francis Ford Coppola owing us an apology, I'm going to ask Steven Spielberg for one. And I'm going to ask him for one for Indiana Jones and the Kingdom of Crystal Skull.
Oh, wow. Yeah, fair enough.
What the fuck was he thinking? Honestly. Did he not read this script?
He was smoking too much of the George Lucas wacky tobacco.
Absolutely. And I blame him as well, George Lucas, because he wrote this shit. And he probably has naked photos of Spielberg's wife and said, here, you're making this or else I'm releasing these online. Because there's no other reason why Steven Spielberg, in all his filmmaking mastery, would actually look at this script and go, you know what, this is great, this is fantastic, I can't wait to make this. And even Kathleen Kennedy, as we spoke to her before, she has a track record second to none. Even she must have looked at this and said, this is a pile of shit. But no, they still continued to work on it. And they still produced it and actually expected people to like it. It was a pile of horse shit, in my opinion.
They were just counting their money before it hatched.
Exactly. It was just a real cheap cash in on the back of all the money that they made with the Star Wars prequels. They thought we could milk that titty a little bit more and get some more cash out of this Indiana Jones film. Well, the audience rejected it. I think it didn't do fuck all in the box office, and the critics hated it as well. So
this also wasn't the first Spielberg flop. 1941 was a massive flop as well, and that was coming off the back of bloody E.T. not long before Raiders. So
yeah, I was going to go through a few more of his films Steven Spielberg has missed on, but this is the glowing light
king.
out of his IMDb list.
Yeah, this had people rolling their eyes in the cinema, which
it was really
is
disappointing.
When you've got Harrison Ford and Cate Blanchett in a friggin' and Shia LaBeouf, no less, in a movie, and you're making people scoff, that's difficult to do.
Yeah, I agree. And the casting of Shia LaBeouf was just ridiculous, as I said. There's no chance they would ever do that now. He was just coming off a hot run with the Transformers films, and that's why he got cast in this one.
To be honest, I don't mind Shia LaBeouf in this film, but he doesn't have There's no way for him to shine or do anything because it's a bad movie.
He's no round eye, all right? If
That's
you're going to
true.
introduce a kid, he needs to be the same quality as round eye. So
Racial stereotype?
yeah, possibly.
Yeah. You have to work hard to make Kate Blanchett look bad on cinema.
Yeah.
I'll just say that.
And they did a
And if
great
she
job
couldn't-
of doing it.
And if she couldn't pull it off, then there's no way Sheila LaBeouf is pulling it off.
Yeah, I agree. All right, well, I saw a couple of films this week. The big one was took my sons to see, or more, they took me to see Despicable Me 3. I have to say this film is a hell of a lot better than Minions was. So if you're a fan of the series, you'll definitely like this one. I actually even seen Despicable Me 1 and 2, but I just went and said, what the hell? It's got a great 80s soundtrack, and it's got some nice, adult-friendly jokes in there as well. So, it's not the heights of what Disney and Pixar are bringing to the table, but the kids enjoyed it, and if you've got kids with school holidays coming up, definitely take them along to see them if they are originally a fan of the series. So it might be one that you might want to take your daughter to.
Yeah, she's really into Little Mermaid at the moment.
Oh yeah,
Like the original Disney film, it's just on repeat basically.
yeah. I'm going to see Cars 3 tomorrow, so that's the next one in line. So I'll be reviewing that next week.
I'm really interested to see how that is, so I hope it's enjoyable.
Well, from all the reviews that I'm reading, it's basically Rocky with cars.
That's all right. Rocky's a great movie.
Rocky 3, I think they said. So Rocky,
Okay.
Rocky 3 is still good. So, if it can bring that, then I'm kind of looking forward to it.
Awesome.
All right, and if there's one type of film that I love watching, it's documentaries, and more importantly, true crime documentaries. And I watched a really good one this week called Missing 411. And it's basically about this state forest in Oregon where I think there's like 40 missing people that are on the records at the moment. Yeah, it's not easy to watch because a lot of the people do go missing are children, but it's fascinating in all of itself. It's these kids that just go missing. They wander into this forest, or their parents take their eye off them for a matter of minutes, and then the kids are gone, and they never come back. There's no trace. There's no evidence. There's no bodies ever found. They just vanish into this state forest, and whether they're saying I doubt there's someone out there, or if it's the animals that are taking them. It's just a really fascinating documentary to watch. So if you're into that thing, it's called what was it called? Missing 411. So give that a go.
I just looked it up on IMDb, and it's like top billed cast: Jared Atredo himself, missing person; Dare Oz himself, missing person.
Yeah.
That's a little bit messed up. You shouldn't have an IMDb profile if you're famous for going missing.
This is true. And
That's a little bit awkward.
there are living people in this show, so they could have probably built them first.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was quite hard to watch.
It's a bit sad,
And yeah, like I watched it at night, and I just wanted to go and hug my kids, so I had to.
I was
wait
gonna
till
say,
the
yeah.
next morning. So it's even worse if you're a parent watching this, because the agony and the torment these parents go through, not knowing what happened to their children, is something that you would never want to wish on your worst enemy.
Yeah.
Yeah. So on that charming,
Rather somber note.
yeah, it's time to wrap up.
Hey,
the
how much
show.
does Michael Bay suck?
Yeah, that Michael Bay.
Oh, what an ass.
What an asshole. But a rich asshole. He's probably sitting in his Italian villa right now, just not giving one fuck at all about what
No
people
way. He's
think of
listening to
his
this podcast, weeping and wiping away the tears with $1 million bills.
films. Exactly. All right, well, that wraps up another episode of Not Another Movie Podcast. I am Sean Pierce.
And I am Sean Kelly.
And let your week be a good week until next week.